one into the next life
Nice.
with you and me and Rachel Fogletto.
Hey, that was beautiful.
Welcome to the Drew and Me podcast, where we do sketches, we do music, we do movies, and we talk about whatever else we want to talk about. And today we have Philadelphia comedian Rachel Fogletto.
Hey, so excited to be here finally. I think we've been
It's
trying to make it work for a while, so I'm
it's
excited.
great to have you. Are there any projects or comedy shows you got coming up that you're excited about?
Oh my God, I'm excited about so many projects and comedy shows. Best thing to do is go to any of my social media. It's always at Rachel Fogletto, RachelFogletto, and my website, www.rachelfogletto.com. All my shows are on there. I'm going to be in New Orleans mid-February, so 15th through the 17th. And there got more stuff coming up. I'm updating as I go until I get a secretary one day, manifesting that. And I also, because like I told you, I'm shifting my life in all different ways, trying to make comedy sustainable. Book me for stuff, including comedy coaching. And, I started incorporating humor into different content, including stuff like dating profiles, because I don't think anybody's doing that right now, at least not that I saw. I'm not claiming it. But in the dating realm, I found a lot of men's and women's profiles that I have been like, hey, that joke comes off a little weird. So anyway, that's my whole plug. All that stuff is on my website in terms of projects and shows. I'm doing all of it. So find me.
Look up Rachel Fogletto, look at her on all the socials on her website, and check out her shows. Her shows are great. Do you still do the show at the Irish Pole, or do you not do that anymore?
Oh no, that I don't even think that bar exists anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I think I did the last show some years ago, definitely a while ago, but those are some fond memories.
Yeah. Let's see. I went to the Patrick Graves one, and
Oh wow.
I went to a few of them. And well, it was a good time. I never got to go to the Ray's Happy Birthday bar one though. Um, since you did a show there too, right?
Yeah, broad humor. It was originally Funny Females that I ran with Phyllis Foran until she
Oh,
moved
nice.
to
That's
Arizona.
great.
Yeah, and I believe she's still doing comedy also out there in, I want to say Sedona, but I'm not sure. And then I was running it with Kat Mosley, and we rebranded as Broad Humor. But yeah, it's been that was those were also very fun times back in the day. There might still be shows
Nice.
going on at Ray's. I'm not sure though. I'm a little bit out of the loop.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, um, I feel like around the 2010s, like performers in Philly were just really like they stepped up their game and they were doing like really cool shows and things like that. And yeah, I don't really go out to too many of the shows anymore. Um, since I kind of pulled back from that. But
Well, you're in
uh
school, so that makes sense. That tends to
yeah,
take up a lot of time. It seems like
but
there's definitely a new class of comics in Philly that it seems like there's like a new little batch of different independent shows and stuff like that happening. I'm admittedly, again, I'm not quite as in the loop as I used to be, but whenever I jump into the loop, it's, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's always like, neat to see the next generation of comics. I always feel like it's kind of like high school, right? Like it's like the new classes that come.
Yeah, like I feel that way too. Like when I've been like out of it for a while and then you kind of jump back in and you kind of see like who's out there and then what people are bringing to the table and it's all like new stuff. It's all like really fresh and
Hmm.
with like in particular with like the Philly comedy scene, like there's always going to be new people, always, and
Yeah,
it's really great to see them. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I was just like thinking about this like yesterday. Like the streets of Philadelphia are really fun to walk to. Like they're very like majestic and kind of old timey feeling and things like that. And just like there is something really special about like Philadelphia in particular.
I agree. I think that's definitely something very unique, which I think anybody could say, oh, that's any city, but I think until you've been to Philadelphia for sure. I feel like there's people who have come here and they're like, oh, now I get it. This is its own very unique thing.
Mm, absolutely. Like I've been to a few cities and none of them really like bring the same authenticity and originality that y- you get in Philadelphia. So yeah, it's a cool place. It really is. So one thing we do on the Drew and Me podcast is we talk about songs we like. We talk about like favorite music. So
Okay.
if you had to pick not necessarily your favorite song, but a song you really like, Rachel, what would that song be?
Oh, I feel so grossly unprepared. And I did actually, because I knew it was like a favorites podcast. And can I just tell can I just be like ADD for a minute and tell my brain issues with favorites? Like, I, because I was trying to figure out, like, I feel like people ask me my favorite stuff a lot, and I'm like, I don't know, because I kind of get obsessed with things like in chunks at a time, but I don't, it's so hard for me to be like, this is my favorite song. Um, like I feel like I'll have a favorite song in the moment, and then like a week later, I'll be like, oh, that's totally not my favorite song. Like I totally, misrepresented myself. But do you know what I mean?
Mm, for me, it kind of works like a song at a time. Like there's like a song like I'm really into for like a week or two, and then I move on to a completely different song.
Yeah, and then it's like, so what for me, it's either one of two things. Like the song is either like it has nothing or very little to do with the lyrics and like everything to do with like I'm gonna say the pop aspect of it, like how it moves me, like my body, like it makes my body want to move because I feel like the older I get, the more kind of obsessed I get with like pop music and how it transcends like all different genres. Like there's certain songs that like even though I like hate I might even hate the lyrics, but I'm like this is such a good song though. Like it's an like it the way it's put together is like mathematically perfect. Like that's what pop music is, right? It's like meant to it's like magic kind of like it's meant to like captivate you. So it's like I kind of get obsessed with that, I guess. And I'm trying to think of like you know what, I'm gonna look up the artist. It's like a newer song, I think, and I think I had to look it up because I woke up with it in my head, and that's how I know I need to like figure it out. And I
Yeah.
think the song uses a bit of auto tune, which I don't tend to like. Oh, it's called Water. And I don't know if
Mm.
I'm even gonna say the artist name right. Tyla, Tyla. I had to look it up, and released 2024. It's literally like that
Wow.
new.
So like
It's
brand new.
it's been in my head because I kept hearing it everywhere, and it's kind of like a dancey club song,
Okay.
and it's just it's not even a song I think I would normally like, but something about it draws me in every time. And I'm like, there's something about this song that like is just, it's really good. So I don't know, like that's the song that's been in my head a lot. And I was just listening to Beyonce, like just general, like I'll forget about, because Beyonce has been producing music for what, like 25 years or something like that.
2003.
Yeah, yeah, like some, like I feel like it's even be, before, but yeah, it's like I was cleaning. Sometimes it's like when I'm cleaning, I'm like, let me just put on something I know, like nostalgia, comforting, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I forgot about this song and her evolution as an artist. So I'm all over the place, Drew. I'm all over the place with songs.
Um, with this song Water, I haven't heard it, but I'll absolutely like check it out.
I'll bet you have. If you put it on, you probably would recognize it because I feel like it's been everywhere.
Okay.
I had no idea it was even that she was even saying water, maybe because I'm from Philly and we don't say it
Oh.
the right way. And then I thought it would be funny,
Water. Yeah.
water, if she was saying water, the song would be terrible. Anyway, yeah, play it. You'll probably recognize it if you play it.
Gotcha. So it's by an artist named Tyla, Tyla, and it's
That's
called Water.
yeah, very new.
Cool. With Beyonce, are you listening to the new stuff or just Beyonce in general?
This was just I on my shuffle. I just had her on. Yeah, I let it be the guide because I'm like, it's not gonna be bad because either you hear an old song, you're like, oh my God, and you get excited because it's a really old song, like Partition, that's a great song. Um
Hmm.
that just happened to come on like maybe like 10 minutes before I jumped onto this podcast. So it's fresh in my
Nice.
head.
Partition, it's probably another one of those songs that I've probably heard it and just don't know the name.
You would know it. Yeah, you would know it if you heard it. I'm confident.
Okay. Um, yeah, like I feel like Beyonce is just like one of the greatest artists of all time. And like, she came up with Destiny's Child, and then
Mm,
her solo career really took the world by storm. And yeah, like 2003 to 2004 was a really good year for music, and that was like her first album. Like, her first album came out in '03, and the Outcast album came out in
right.
2003 too. So like Hey Ya and Crazy in Love were like the same year. Like that was just a great year for music.
I forgot about that. I can't believe that it's that old. So weird. I really feel like
Mm,
it was not that long ago, but I guess, yeah, I guess it was.
mm.
I don't know, and I don't know how where I can't remember where I just heard this. somebody was telling me, I think, I believe, and I don't want to misspeak, but I think they were talking about Hey Ya and how like that song was kind of just like he wrote that song just to kind of be ridiculous. Like it wasn't that like the lyrics of the song
Oh,
are kind of like absurd, but like it's just this amazing song.
absolutely.
I can't remember if that's exactly what it is or something like he didn't particularly like it or I should have probably looked it up, but it was one of those. I feel like we were talking about songs where like everybody loves, but the artist wrote it either kind of like as a whatever song or they really didn't like
Mm,
it, but then they had to like play it a million times because everybody loved it kind of
okay.
thing. And I feel like Hey
Yeah.
Ya is in that realm.
Yeah. It just kind of took off and it became like huge. Like the music video was great and you just heard it everywhere. And it still gets played in like radio and stuff like that. And like I can remember many a school dance a, and going to a wedding and you just kind of hear Hey Ya and it's just kind of a really nice,
It's a good song.
great pop song.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. It's a great
And
song.
that is interesting that on Andre 3000 has conflicting feelings about it. I know that the John Bon Jovi song "Living on a Prayer," he thought it wasn't good enough to be on the album, but then he said, and then it's our most popular song. So he goes, it's whatever people like, it's
It's
whatever
so true.
really takes off.
Do you feel like that about like do you feel like that I feel like that about jokes? Like sometimes
Mm.
do you ever like I mean back when Twitter was a little bit better, like I feel like I would, write it, put a joke on Twitter that I was like, this is really good. This is a really smart joke. And it would get like hardly any interaction. But then I would post like the dumbest thought I had in my brain and it would get like like all these retweets. And I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever said. But
Um,
people like it.
like it depends. Like I feel like good jokes are kind of like you strike oil or you strike gold. Like um, I feel like sometimes and then sometimes it like really comes out of nowhere. Like it could be
Mm,
something really random. Like for me with joke writing, like I take jokes out of like things that actually happen. So it's already
mm.
been funny, so I think it can be funny again.
True. Like when you said things that have already happened, you mean like personal or
Yeah, like kind of life experiences or
mm,
things I know exist and things like that. So, um, it's kind of what YouTubers like say, like, the trick to a really good YouTube video is to do something familiar in a whole new way.
mm, mm,
You do it in a way that hasn't been done yet. So you just do
mm.
something that everybody knows, but in an original way. And I feel like a lot of like great stand-up comedians like they have like a certain style or like certain things they do to put their own spin on it.
Mm,
Like for example, and Anthony Jeselnik, he's in insult comedian, so his like style is he does insults, which not everyone is like an insult comedian, so he can kind of put his stamp on it. So yeah, I feel like just each comic is different and each comic has like their own style. But as far as what you were talking about it, as like you just do something like random on like Twitter and it gets like retweets or likes or something, like sometimes it's just something might ring true in a different way for like people that you you don't know yet. So, it's how things go. And I feel like comedy in general, I feel like there's like a 2-year rule. I feel like
Hmm.
every 2 years you have to reevaluate the jokes you're doing in the material and to see if it's still relevant. So,
Yeah, and I think like as a person, like I also do like most of my jokes are more about my own personal life and rather than like I do some observational, but most of it is me. And I always felt like, yeah, I avoided current events and objectivity because it goes stale so fast. Like literally something can be memed. It can be like over memed in like 5 minutes, and it's like not funny anymore. But if it's like your own thing, it has a little bit more of a shelf life. But then it's like one thing I have to, that I struggle with when it's like comedy for work, where you're just getting paid to do a job. It might not be your audience, it might not be your niche, but it's like these jokes, I know they work, but they don't like ring true to me anymore. So it's like, are they still relevant to me? And then if not, how do I either rework it or like resell it, like like become enthusiastic about it because it's like your enthusiasm and your delivery too, right?
yeah. And like rewording a joke or like saying it a different way with like a different inflection or like completely reworking it, I feel like are kind of um cool things you can do. A mutual friend of ours, Alejandro Morales,
Oh, I love
he's
Alejandro.
he's great at like reworking certain words in a joke to like
Mm-hmm.
do them a new way. And I feel like that's a great way for comedians to like keep it fresh because like it's tough when you said the same joke 100 times. It's really hard.
Yeah, you start to like, yeah, it's like you become sick of it. Kind of like I always compared it to like when you like hate everything you have to wear, like you're just like, ugh, like I'm so tired of this outfit, like I've worn it 1,000 times. And and the thing is, when you don't feel confident or aligned with it, it shows, and it shows in your presentation and everything. So I think you're right, it's a way to like get yourself, I think you have to like get yourself excited about the joke again in
Mm.
order to sell it. And I have that, Alejandro is such a great example because I feel like I've like it'll be like I'll do a show with him and I haven't seen him in a while and I'll see this joke that I know he's been doing for years, but it'll be reworked in this different new
Yeah,
way that I'm like, oh my God, I love that. I get excited when a comedian I know, when like sometimes just to hear a joke that I like, it's almost like a song, like it's like, oh, I haven't heard this joke in a while. I love this joke and I get excited for it. But especially when they like rework it, it's always like, oh, neat. Like I see what you did there. I like the new spin on it.
yeah. Um, and like sometimes you have to think about like that makes sense because it could be a different scenario or something than the original like circumstance or something. So it kind of subverts the joke because it can be used in like a different way in a different context.
Right. Because sometimes you're trying to like, it's like over the years, my whole kind of like what I'm doing, like because it's like my storyline has changed. So it's like, okay, where do I fit this in now? Like this fit in a certain place before in my sets, but now like how do I kind of get it in there so that it feels natural and not just like there's no segue, you know?
Yeah. Um, it's always good to create new segues too, or like have a few on hand or something. Like, or sometimes the reaction from the audience like kind of helps it along. Like a joke that you don't expect to hit like a certain way hits in a way, so it kind of like creates its own steam.
Yeah, it's like ideally you want it to have its own, yeah, its own. It's like, right, ideally you want every joke to be able to be an opener and a closer, but
Yeah.
sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not all running on their own.
Mm, yeah. Um, and you know, I feel like sometimes it helps to go back to like when you originally wrote it and like what you wrote it for. And if that's changed, then you can still do it, but you can do it like the new way, like you did an update to it so you can kind of do it a different way. Or if the premise isn't even like relevant anymore, you can at least maybe take a little chunk of it out and you can still do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, so also another thing that I like to talk about on the podcast is plays and kind of theatrical things and things like that. So, Rachel, do you have any favorite plays? Like, is there a play you
Play.
like?
Oh, that's okay. A play like a music, can it like a musical?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'd say like when I was younger, I was probably more into musicals than I necessarily am now. Just in terms of like watching them, but I can say so this is like going back to like high school. I was like, I mean, this probably isn't very unique to me. I think a lot of like weird teenagers probably were obsessed with Rocky Horror Picture Show, which isn't
Uh,
really a play. It was a movie. It was actually a movie first, and then people started like kind of messing with it in the theaters and then
mm,
reenacting it. And it
yeah.
for my 16th birthday, because I was so obsessed with it. Well, even younger that my mom would take me and my friends to go see the Late Show because she didn't want me to go by myself. But when it was just in this divey movie theater in New Jersey, but then when I was 16, it was on or like off Broadway, and she took me and a couple of my friends for my birthday to actually see it on Broadway. That was like really, really cool.
Yeah. Have you seen the Philadelphia version of it? Like, there's like a late night crew that does it
Mm-hmm.
with Philly, and it's really good.
Yeah, Hannah Harkness I don't know if she does anymore, but
Hannah did, yeah.
she used to
Hannah
be
did do it.
Columbia.
Yeah.
So I've seen it when
Yeah.
she did it. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, she played the maid, I think, or it was
Oh,
like
Magenta.
Fortuna.
Yeah, maybe I feel like she was Columbia, but it's possible that they could have
Yeah,
switched
yeah.
roles. I mean,
Or Columbia, yeah.
I'm sure that
Yeah.
you have to, I mean, I feel like the production I saw when I was younger, they would switch. They would have different people playing different roles all the time. So I'm sure
Mm,
you might have to know how to do like, different ones if you need to jump in.
yeah. Um the songs I feel like are great. Like the like there's a light at the
Hmm.
Frankenstein place. Like I feel like that's the strongest song, and I really like that one. And the theme is so great too. Uh at the late night
Hmm.
picture show. Like it's so great.
It's a
I love
really
those
good.
two.
No,
Hmm?
go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead. It's good. Yeah.
And the one when they're in the pool, like don't dream it,
I was just gonna
just do
say,
it.
yeah, that song is like, yeah, don't dream it, be it. It's like that's the
Yeah,
ultimate, like when you're trying to find yourself, like who am I kind of thing, like that. I think that's why, even though it was a ridiculous movie, and I got it too. Like I had watched there was like documentaries about it. It's like I knew it was like I understood that it was like a cult movie and I understood why. And but to me, there's nothing like one, I love camp. I kind of love campiness when it's done correctly. And I don't necessarily know. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure it knew it was or no, was it? Sorry, Drew, I'm having like a moment. It was a stage
that's
production.
okay.
Now I'm trying to remember the history of it. I think it was a stage
Um,
production first, and then it was a
came out as
movie.
like one of those like it kind of started the genre of like late night show th- like this is a late night theater show as and it's going to be something really cutting edge. It's going to be something that could be explicit. It's going to be like a show that couldn't go on during the day because like that's a late
Yeah.
night show.
And it was like kind of making fun of a lot of sci-fi themes too, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
the whole thing is they're like aliens, right? Like he's a, and it's yeah, it's just I think it was just done so perfectly bad that there is just like, because you had like people like really acting it, like Tim Curry, like Susan Sarandon and Barry Boston, like all just like really
great actors.
being,
Yeah,
yeah, like being the characters. And you're like, this is an
yeah,
absurd premise, but I'm captivated by it because they're doing it, they're not like half-ass.
yeah.
I feel like you can't half-ass it in campiness. Like you
No, you
have
have
to
to
do
go
it.
for it. I feel like Tim Curry, he's from like a really good theater background, so it's just like his theatrical kind of nature. And then I know that Susan Sarandon can get really into her characters too. Um, so like they're just the kind of actors they can kind of play cartoony type characters on stage, and that's absolutely great. Yeah. Um, have you seen the movie? Have you seen Bull Durham? Have you seen that movie?
I don't think so, no.
That's a really good Susan Sarandon movie. She plays like the muse of kind of the players, and whoever she dates has like a really good season and stuff like that. And it's very good for like female empowerment and kind of
Hmm.
told through a female protagonist. And like sh she's absolutely amazing in that movie.
And what was it called again? I'll write that down too.
It's Bull Durham, like Durham, North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Got it. Bull
So it's
Durham.
Bull Durham.
Got it. I'll look that up. I can write it down so I don't forget.
It's really good. So we are just about out of time, but
Okay.
this has been Drew and me. Thank you very much. I'm Drew
Thank
Garrison.
you.
And Rachel Fogletto. And thank you so much for being on.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Okay.